Enjoy the short story. Please like and subscribe. The India-Pakistan conflict has been one of the longest-standing and most contentious disputes in modern history. It began with the partition of India in 1947, which resulted in the formation of two nations, India and Pakistan. The partition was meant to be a peaceful process, but it quickly turned into a violent and bloody event, with Hindus and Muslims attacking each other and causing widespread chaos and destruction. The conflict between India and Pakistan escalated into full-blown war in 1965. The root cause of the war was the dispute over the territory of Kashmir, which both India and Pakistan claimed as their own. The war lasted for almost a month and was marked by intense fighting on the ground, in the air, and at sea. The Indian Army made significant gains in the early stages of the war, capturing the strategic city of Lahore and putting pressure on Pakistan's capital, Islamabad. However, Pakistan responded with a counteroffensive, and the two sides fought fiercely for several weeks, with neither able to gain a decisive advantage. The war came to an end on September 23, 1965, with both sides agreeing to a ceasefire. The war had caused significant casualties on both sides, with thousands of soldiers and civilians losing their lives. The conflict also had a profound impact on the region, with the two nations becoming even more deeply entrenched in their respective positions. Despite the ceasefire agreement, tensions between India and Pakistan remained high, and the two nations continued to engage in sporadic skirmishes along the line of control in Kashmir. In 1971, the conflict erupted again, this time over the issue of East Pakistan, which eventually became the independent nation of Bangladesh. The 1971 war was a much more one-sided affair, with India emerging victorious after a swift and decisive military campaign. The war resulted in the capture of over 90,000 Pakistani soldiers, who were eventually released after the signing of the Simla Agreement in 1972. The war also had significant political and economic repercussions, with Pakistan losing its eastern wing and India gaining a new neighbor to the east. The India-Pakistan conflict has continued to simmer in the decades since the 1971 war, with occasional flare-ups and cross-border skirmishes. The dispute over Kashmir remains unresolved, and tensions between the two nations remain high. Despite numerous efforts at mediation and dialogue, the two sides have been unable to reach a lasting solution to the conflict. The consequences of the India-Pakistan conflict have been far-reaching, affecting not just the two nations directly involved but also the wider region. The conflict has resulted in the displacement of millions of people, the loss of countless lives, and the diversion of resources away from development and progress. Until a lasting solution is found, the India-Pakistan conflict will continue to be a source of instability and insecurity in the region. In the years following the 1971 war, the India-Pakistan conflict remained largely contained to sporadic cross-border skirmishes and occasional acts of terrorism. However, tensions continued to simmer, with both sides continuing to maintain large military deployments along the line of control in Kashmir. In 1999, the conflict once again erupted into full-scale war when Pakistan-backed militants infiltrated Indian territory in the Kargil sector of Kashmir. The Indian Army responded with a swift and decisive counteroffensive, recapturing the high-altitude peaks that had been seized by the militants. The Kargil War lasted for just over 2 months, resulting in the deaths of hundreds of soldiers and civilians on both sides. The Kargil War marked a turning point in the India-Pakistan conflict, with both nations recognizing the need to find a way to resolve their differences through peaceful means. In the years that followed, there were numerous attempts at dialogue and mediation, with both sides making incremental progress towards a resolution of the Kashmir dispute. However, progress was slow, and tensions continued to simmer. In 2008, the conflict once again escalated when militants carried out a series of coordinated attacks in Mumbai, killing over 160 people. India blamed the attacks on Pakistan-based militant groups and demanded that Pakistan take action against them. Pakistan denied any involvement in the attacks and refused to take action against the groups. The Mumbai attacks marked a low point in India-Pakistan relations, with the two nations coming dangerously close to another war. However, cooler heads eventually prevailed, and the two sides resumed their efforts at dialogue and engagement. In the years that followed, there were some positive developments, with India and Pakistan taking steps to increase trade and people-to-people contacts. However, progress on the Kashmir dispute remained elusive, with both sides continuing to maintain their positions. In 2019, the India-Pakistan conflict once again flared up, with militants carrying out a suicide bombing in Indian-administered Kashmir that killed over 40 Indian soldiers. India responded by carrying out airstrikes against militant targets inside Pakistan, leading to a retaliatory strike by Pakistan. The two sides came dangerously close to another full-scale war, with tensions remaining high for several weeks. However, a direct confrontation was avoided and both sides eventually returned to their previous positions. The India-Pakistan conflict remains one of the most intractable and complex disputes in the world today. The dispute over Kashmir continues to simmer, with no end in sight. However, despite the challenges, there are signs of hope, with both sides recognizing the need to find a peaceful and lasting solution to the conflict. Until that happens, however, the India-Pakistan conflict will remain a source of instability and insecurity in the region. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe for more stories.